So I'm John, I'm the Charm City Property Dude. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right here and the bell for notifications for these videos and all the other great videos that I'm sure you don't want to miss. And here we go. So if you're planning on relocating to Baltimore, Maryland, after doing all these videos, I get a lot of people who ask me a simple question like, what is my favorite neighborhood? What is my favorite thing to do in Baltimore City? And so I decided to put together a video, my 5 things that I love about the city. So make sure that you stay tuned until the very end. In Harford County, for instance, I absolutely love going to the Ironbirds game, and especially during July. They have like hands down like the best 4th of July fireworks display, and it's just a minor league baseball team. They don't hit a lot of home runs. It's kind of a slow game, but you know what, sometimes those games are about, like for me, those games are about going with my son or going with my dad and just spending the afternoon drinking beer, cracks and peanuts. That's my favorite thing to do, is something like that. But when we're talking about Baltimore City, exact same thing down there. One of my favorite things to do is to either go to a Ravens game or go to the Baltimore Orioles. Go down there. It's gotten quite expensive. Aramark is the only people that serve the food there, and I guess they can feel like they can charge any price they want. But just the idea of going, sitting behind third base, watching the Orioles play. Usually it's either the Boston Red Sox or the Blue Jays. We usually catch those. Sometimes I catch them playing the Rangers too. But sitting there, nice, cool June night, with my dad or my son, having a bag of peanuts and a beer. That's my absolute favorite thing of all times. So if it really does, I guess it's the reminiscence about the days when I used to play baseball, because I actually played men's over 40 baseball. I played back in the military and I played back in high school. So I do remember those days. By the way, as you get older, I can't see the ball anymore. I can't run, can't jump. So there is a definite distinct time when your time in the sun playing baseball is definitely over. So yeah, that's my top favorite thing to do, is to go to catch a game. Ravens game is more like go to the skybox. It's where you're above the field, you can see everything, because usually when you get down there on like the 50-yard line, you really can't see anything. And a lot of times the fans are so rowdy, you really can't pay attention to anything other than the other people around you. So, but my favorite thing is, again, going to the Ravens game, going to the Baltimore Orioles, and just catching a game, catching one of those chilly summer nights. So one of my favorite things that I like to do, the Inner Harbor. So you have the promenade that goes from Canton all the way around to Locust Point. So it goes all the way around the Inner Harbor, and that wasn't always the case. One of my favorite things I used to do year after year would be the walkathon. They'd start in the middle of Baltimore. You'd go 13 miles. It was 13 or 21 miles around the Inner Harbor, and it would dump you back down at the Inner Harbor. I ran the Under Armour Marathon. I only ran 13 miles. It was a half marathon for me, and it started at the Inner Harbor right there off of Light Street, went all the way around town and came back down Charles Street back into the stadium. So anyway, one of my other favorite things is the Inner Harbor. You have the aquarium, you have the science center, you have all the little ship, you have the Constellation, you have the Chesapeake ship. These are all museums. Most of them are like pay contribution donations to get into the ship. But just seeing, like, I used to go on the Constellation all the time, and that just the old slave quarters down at the bottom, the sleeping quarters, and just knowing that people went through that stuff. But my favorite thing would be walking around the Inner Harbor. It's gotten, I know people are like, aren't you worried about crime and stuff like that? But they've really made, with urban renewal and all the influx, and I'll tell you something else, the interracial relationships have made life a lot better. I mean, everybody is just congealing into one big thing, and that's really made it really nice down there. So the crime is kind of going out. It's in pockets around the city, but it's not necessarily right there at the Inner Harbor. There's a strong police presence there at the Inner Harbor. But my favorite thing would be, there are shops there. Go down here, do some shopping. You walk around the promenade, around to the Science Center. I've gone in there a couple of times. But spending the day with family at the Inner Harbor, grabbing a bite to eat, and then coming back out of the city. So whether you're going down there to go into the Science Center, which is great all by itself, where you're going down there for the National Aquarium. That's a lot of fun as well. It's really something to see, and all the museums around the Inner Harbor. I always say I think I may have died during the British War or the Civil War, because whenever I see that stuff, it just hits me. So another one of my favorite things to do is to go around the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, grab a bite to eat with the family, and then catch some of the entertainment there and come back home. So I get a lot of people who ask me what is my absolute favorite neighborhood, and I'm going to have to admit because okay, so I personally like Canton and Fells Point. They're side by side with each other, and I have seen Fells Point and Canton come together since when I was a kid. So my dad, he used to drive a tractor and trailer, and he used to pull out of the piers down there, 10 South Side, which is just on the other side of the tunnel. And I've watched those areas go from absolutely nothing down there. Nothing was down there except for just O'Donnell Street. You had the broom factory. And by the way, my dad used to deliver stuff to the broom factory because it was a warehouse. And just to see it start to change. And then as I got older, I delved into being an actor, and down there in the broom factory is the major casting company for Baltimore City, which is Pat Moran. And she cast stuff like Life on the Streets, Homicide, The Wire, you name it. Anything that comes to Baltimore, usually she is casting. And I can't tell you the number of times I've gone into the broom factory to audition for something. And when I say there was nothing down there, when I first started, there was absolutely nothing. We're going back to like 2003, 2004. So the whole area has just seen this tremendous growth. And Toonie Street, they have all these high-rise condos, all this new stuff. You've got all the restaurants right there. You got Merritt Athletic Club that's across the way. They built an avenue. Then you got the Canton Water Park, and all that urban renewal is going right down. And then it lands literally a walk to Fells Point, and you're in the middle of Fells Point. And then you got all these bars. You got Shuck It on a Half, Mama Shucks, Shuck It on a Half Shell. You've got Banditos. You've got all these restaurants around Fells Point, and it's amazing down there. It's absolutely amazing just to see what the city was like and now the city is now. So my favorite place to live is Canton and Fells Point. I think there's a lot to do between the two of them. There's a lot of history down there, and there's a lot of great places, brand new condos that are down there. If you're leasing, I want to lease a place, there's places right there and there off of Toonie Street. And then also you down there next behind the Natty Bo sign, which is the one guy winking. So Natty Bo. So yeah, my favorite place to live would be Canton and Fells Point. So my absolute favorite thing, I told you, was going to the sporting events. This ranks right up there. So I am a retired actor. I've done things like Law and Order, The Wire. I've done all these different TV shows. Doesn't make any difference, but my time in the sun has passed. I still audition for a variety of different things, but my absolute favorite things to do, we usually would do the independent films, and there is a theater down on Charles Street that I believe that John Waters lives around, or maybe above it. He owns the theater, maybe. So that's fun. We always usually, as an independent movie, you'd rent the movie theater around town. And there's a bunch of them. There's one right down there off of President Street. It's brand new. There's one off of Charles Street. And you go in there, you rent the theater for the night, you invite all your friends, and you show your independent film. And the fun part about that is when we did John Waters, he would always come down and take a look at the film. He'd watch the film just like everybody else. So that's our little claim to fame. The Hairspray, because he wrote and directed Hairspray. Our claim to fame would be, the theater down there. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. There's theaters throughout Harford. There's Harford County, and you can rent the theaters for the night. So if you have like a party or you have some kind of entertainment, you can go to the theater, they'll clean it, you've got all the food there and all that. But that's a fun favorite too, is to go to the theaters. And they're definitely spread out through town, and those are the theaters. And so the other thing I like to do too is, of course, growing up into being an actor and all that, we used to do a lot of live theater production. And I know there's one down there off of Ann Street. It's called the Center Theater, which is actually located, it's the Fells Point Corner Theater. That's what it's called. And literally it's in the middle of the block. But that's also a favorite thing. And you have some good stuff. You got Scott Black's Theater. You got the Corner Theater there in Fells Point. There's a couple other theaters that are spread throughout. And there's a lot of college productions. And there's a lot of, I know the Mechanic over in west side of Baltimore. They do a lot of theater production, and that is near the college over there. So I know I've gone to a couple of those over there. Really, really nice little evenings. Doesn't cost a lot of money to do these things. The tickets are usually $7 to $10. They're even cheaper for students. And you go in, I'm not saying the acting is Academy Award winning, but you can really see some, like a little fun-filled production. A lot of times musicals are fun, snappy songs, cheerful songs. And I've done so many musical productions in theater and all that. So I would say that ranks right up there with a little bit of fun entertainment. Of course, you can always reach out to me. I will tell you exactly where these places are. All right. So I love to eat. As you can tell, I love to eat. So my absolute favorite place to eat, I have two. Fogg de Chão is a Brazilian steakhouse. It's right there in the Inner Harbor. I love eating there, but I don't ever think you get your money's worth. It's like $55 a person, and you got to whisper to the people, hey, just bring me the Brazilian ribeyes. Ribeyes are really good. They do have like a lunch special for like $37, and they do all that skewered meat. They got chicken, pork, steak, beef, and that's always good. But my favorite place, if you like Italian, love Italian, then you have to go over to Chiparelli's in Little Italy. That place is absolutely the bomb. They've been there for 100 years. They're in a little combined row homes that have been combined into a restaurant. It's really nice. Casual dress, you don't have to get dressed up if you don't want to, but Chiparelli's is really good. Now, if you want really, really good seafood, I would recommend Jimmy Seafood. They're out off of Dundalk Avenue, so they're kind of right between the Baltimore Tunnel. There's an exit off the Baltimore Tunnel that takes you over to Dundalk. It's Hollenberg Avenue. That's where it is. I would recommend Jimmy Seafood. They're excellent crab cakes. They got these crab cake egg rolls that are to die for, and they're really, really good. So those are my favorite places to eat. My favorite place to eat pizza of all time is Pizza John's. They're not in the city. They're actually in Essex off of Backwater Neck Road. Really, really good pizza. So those are a couple of my favorite pizza places. Yeah, I love Little Italy. If you're here, go to Little Italy. You can go to the Rusty Scupper, which is right off the promenade over there on over right below Federal Hill. It's called the Rusty Scupper. They got great seafood there too. But and what is my number one absolute favorite place to eat crabs? I hate to say it. We have two places up here in Harford County that are, one's called the Madonna House and the other one's called Vince's Crab House. Vince's has the best crabs I think I've had in quite some time, and they're located. There's a place down in Baltimore, Vince's, and there's also a place up here in Harford County, and they have excellent crabs. They're always full crabs. They use Old Bay. And but those are my favorite places to eat. So in this video, I'm going to give you a little extra. It's not going to be my 5 favorite things to do. It's going to be more like I'm just reminiscing about the things I really like to do here in town. So I used to run. I ran the Under Armour Marathon. I love, they're up here in Harford County. It's called the Mom Pa Trail. Down in Baltimore County, it's called the NCR Trail. It's a little trail. It used to be a railroad. And they took up the tracks, and everybody walks their dogs, they jog, they bike, they walk their kids and stuff. And just running down these trails, they're maintained by the state, so they're all cut back. If a tree falls down, they cut it up. Patapsco State Park has the Soldier's Delight up there in Owings Mills. And there's a couple places over at Howard County and Columbia too. But these places, you just go for a jog. You lose yourself in running, you lose yourself in biking. You've just got an easy breath going and you're running, and you don't have to worry about it's not too hot. Sometimes you got to worry about the mosquitoes and those horse flies, but just nice, easy going jogging. You don't have to worry about anything and just take your mind off of it. That's kind of my favorite thing to do too, is running and just walking down those trails. It's really nice, and I'm glad that the state actually has those. I'm sure they have them in every state, but here in Baltimore, it seems like everywhere you go, they've got those little, and they're free. You don't have to pay anything. They're absolutely free. So that's my favorite thing to do as far as recreation, running, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is a little bit of a drive, but this is going to be it. My favorite thing to do. If you got a day that's a nice day for weather, I wouldn't pick a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, but if you just don't have anything to do and you want to go for a drive, less than 2.5 hours away is Ocean City, Maryland. It's the beach. You know, it's a little long for a day trip, but you can go down there. You park your car, you go on the beach. It's like a tradition for my family. You always go down there and you always get Thrasher French fries. They're spot on. They're right at the end of the boardwalk down there. Thrasher French fries, but they don't have ketchup. It's oil and vinegar and salt. Get you something to drink and a Thrasher French fry. Share it with your family. The kids are at the age, there's arcades down there, so you can always run into the arcade and spend a couple of bucks. They got the big games and all that stuff. Absolutely wonderful. You go spend the day on the beach. You can rent an umbrella chair and an umbrella, put your toes in the sand and just unwind and let the kids run in and out of the water. It's got lifeguards and stuff like that. Summertime's a little busy for that, but if you can get down there and back, it's a nice day trip. Most of us here in Maryland have a place down there. I have a place down there, but this really makes for a nice day trip or maybe an overnight trip. Just go down there, spend the day on the beach, get all burnt up, and sunburned, and then when you finally get down there and you leave, you're like, man, we gotta do that for a whole week. That is my favorite thing, going down there for 4th of July, catching the fireworks down there, eating down there. If you can go down there and get all the seafood you want, but I don't think the seafood down there is as good as seafood up in Baltimore. But they do have like all you can eat crabs, but a fun time. They got a place down there called Taco to Go. They got Fisher's popcorn, which is caramel popcorn, is absolutely excellent. So you go down there for the day, you get a Thrasher French fry, you get all burnt up in the sun, you hit the showers, you get yourself all together, and you go back out to dinner, and you walk up and down the boardwalk. That's fun, and then get something to eat. There's a million places down there to get something to eat. There's the crab bag. There's Sherry's ice cream down there. A lot of the car enthusiasts take their cars down there there's a humongous car show. They got car week, they got bike week, they got H2O week, they got rice burner week. They got any kind of week you want down there. But Ocean City's really, really fun. If you got a couple minutes, got a day or two to go down there and just enjoy yourself. And that is probably the best thing about Maryland, is heading down to the beach. And we all do it. We all trek down there. Usually the 300,000 people on a weekend, maybe a July 4th weekend, 350,000 people down there is not an understatement. Traffic's terrible, but once you get situated and set up, you have a place, you got bikes for the kids can there's off streets, so they don't have to worry about getting run over, and then just doing the beach thing. And that's probably everybody's favorite thing here to do is head down to the beach all summer long. You work all week and then you head down to the beach. So yeah, these are my top 5, 6, 7, 8 things that I really like to do here in the state of Maryland and Baltimore City. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did putting it together and reminiscing. So I get a lot of phone calls from folks just like you every day. I absolutely love it. If you're thinking about moving, relocating to Baltimore, Maryland, if you text, email, or call me any day, night, or weekend, I've got your real estate back. Again, I am John. I'm the Charm City Property Dude, and hey, catch me on the next video. Let me put it right here. Catch me on the next video. Take care.